Better get the coleslaw, y'all, because we're having us a barbecue.
Welcome to tonight's live stream. I'm going to get started in a minute. I just need to let everybody know that the stream is currently on the air. Everybody get your coleslaw ready because we get ready to have a barbecue tonight. Well, tonight's live stream is all about this woman who made a video where she wanted to go out here and try to shame all of the nerds out here for being so-called bitter in high school. So this black female basically went on social media and decided that she was going to go out here and post this video showing out here to try to shame all of the nerdy black guys out here and try to shame all these black nerds for going out here and being so-called bitter as related to all of the black girls who went out here dating dope dealers. Fair use under United States copyright law of 1976. I'm using this video in connection with commentary.
Came up to the girl in high school. She was like, no, I want you. And then once she became a baby mama, he was a CEO, executive, and all that. And she's like, hey, you remember me? He said, no, I don't want you. I be feeling like, respectfully, y'all is the grown-up versions of the niggas that got hurt in high school while we was out fucking the drug dealers. Let me tell you something. We were victims then making horrible decisions with grown-ass on us. Y'all gotta let that shit go.
What about the girls who had the older guys picking them up in high school?
Now, this whole video basically is bringing a meme by Alex L. Art to life. And Alex L. Art, a long time ago, he made this meme, this art a long time ago, where he presented the entire image of this black woman going out here and dissing the nerdy guy. And I'll put that up in a minute. Let me put this up. Let me with the nerdy guy, and she's out here dissing the nerdy guy. And this is what she's doing again in this art, again in this iconic piece from Alex L. Art, where the black woman goes out here and disses the thug. And I mean, this is the nerd and says, "Don't date the nerd because he's just a nerd." And she's out here with the thug guy. And then years later, she's pregnant with a child and has another child by this Pookie, and she wants the guy to basically remember her and he basically tells her to go on about her business. And that meme again has become an icon of the internet. And we basically see it come to life in this whole video presented by this black woman. Basically, this black woman, when she went out here and made that statement, she basically made this art come to life, but that art basically was telling a true story that I basically lived growing up back in the 1980s. Now, when this black female sits here and talks about, oh, how nerds need to get over it and they need to go out here and date the black women who rejected them for drug dealers, it basically is coming from a place of desperation, and a place of desperation because this woman basically knows that she has no more options. And because she has no more options, what she wants to do is try to go out here and try to shame all of the nerdy black guys into dating her and dealing with all of the emotional baggage and illegitimate children that she went out here and had with Mr. Pookie. And that's something that many guys basically have rejected as related to things. And guys rejected all of that because, again, this woman, again, showed no respect for us and still continues to show no respect for all of us square guys who were out here in the 80s, out here in the 80s, going out here and trying to do things like get good grades and work towards going to college. This is what this female is looking to do. She's looking to, again, show us nothing but continued disrespect because she's coming from a place of entitlement. And from that place of entitlement, what she wants to do with this video is go out here and look to revise history to make herself out to be the victim of a story where she was never victimized, but is basically the sum of all of the poor choices that she made. Now, I'm going to go in depth and deconstruct this video and give you a historical perspective from my 51 years of living and running into chicks like this over time. And I'm going to go in depth on this as I go out here and again deconstruct this video.
Came up to the girl in high school. She was came up to the girl in high school. She was like, no, I don't want you. And then once she became a baby mama, he was a C.
Now, that first part, where she talks about, oh, when the guy came up to her, this is where a lot of guys like myself, we ran into these kind of girls in high school. And when we would go out here and step to these girls, they would basically have no interest in us at all. No, they'd have no interest in us at all because they were out here getting the attention of a lot of older guys. And because they were getting the attention of older guys, they were basically getting their heads gassed up by these older guys and felt that they didn't even need to pay attention to all of us brothers who were their own age. And I saw this go on as far back as about 12, 13 years old when I used to, again, was starting to get into girls and I was being bullied by guys about having a girlfriend. It was really hard to even get the attention of these girls because during that time, we had a lot of these girls going out here and bragging about how they were getting with these older guys who were 16, 17, 18, sometimes 21, 22 years old. And some of these girls were out here with guys as old as 30 years old. They were out here with these older guys and out here bragging about this. They would be out here. I remember being in junior high school and high school, hearing these girls bragging about these guys who were older and having this older boyfriend. And as they were sitting up there bragging about these older guys, when a younger guy who was their own age would try to step to them, that's when these girls would basically get to the point where they would try to basically curse out a dude. They would go out here and curse out a dude to the point where they would look to, again, treat you worse than a dog. And we would just have to sit there and suck that up. We'd have to suck that up. And that would be all a part of our growing up as boys. We had to learn to take that type of not only rejection, but just plain out hostility from chicks like this who were out here really happy to be with these older guys. And what many people don't know about these girls is a lot of times behind the scenes, they weren't just out here with these guys just because they were out here. No, they were out here because they wanted this. These guys were again elevating their social status, and being with the neighborhood dope boy was something that elevated their social status in the neighborhood. And a lot of times they would look to get that clout and get that respect from getting the attention of these dope boys. They would go out here and look to get with these guys because it would allow them to say that they had a high social status in the neighborhood. And that's what these girls are not telling you, that they were out here with these guys, not because it was just them forcing them to be with them. No, when it came to these girls, they wanted to be with them. Moreover, when it came to a lot of these girls, even their own mamas was encouraging them. Their own mamas was out here encouraging them to get with these guys because a lot of those mamas were doing two things. One, they were a part of the welfare state and they were living in the projects or in Section 8 housing. And two, some of these mamas went out here and worked, and they saw that this guy could give them a so-called better life by going out here and doing things like buying them the sneakers, going out here and buying them the designer clothes like the Spree clothes, the generic clothes, the Polo Ralph Lauren's, and the Tommy Hilfigers. They could go out here and dress real fly and be able to get things like Gucci bags, Gucci boots, and big time things like big screen TVs. So a lot of these chicks, they would go out here and their mamas would encourage them to get with these guys because they wanted to live the ghetto fabulous high life. And because they wanted to live the ghetto fabulous high life, that's where a lot of these chicks would go out here and get with these older guys, especially these older guys in the dope game. They would go out here and get with these guys and get co-signed by their mamas. And this chick will sit there and try to make it out like, oh, these nerdy guys need to get over it. No, when it comes to the nerdy guys out here, we were out here trying to go out here and go to school and trying to go out here and make the grade. That's what we were trying to do out here, and possibly try to get a date where we could take these girls to places like a movie and McDonald's. I mean, that's all we could basically afford on our allowance, but we couldn't compete out here with these dope dealers and some of these ball entertainers out here, because there were a lot of little mini wannabe rappers also out here. And again, these people again were like the dope boys were making $1,000 a day. They could basically again buy this girl anything, and they could also take her to places like the clubs, or like I talk about in my novel John Haynes 1987. This guy could take you to a place like the Skate Key, or he could take you to one of these other places that was, again, you could go out here and brag to your friends. So a lot of these girls basically felt like they were, again, being able to get their social status elevated by these older guys. And this is what they did. And again, what back in the 80s, they were out here doing this kind of stuff. And as they were doing this stuff with these older guys, having these relationships with these older guys and these dope dealers, these girls basically were out here having a good time. Meanwhile, they were basically cooking and roasting any 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 15 or 16-year-old guy who they believe had the audacity to go out here and step to them. That's what these girls basically did in the late 80s. I mean, I happened to see that all the time, saw it all the time, guys getting dissed, even got dissed myself a couple of times, got cooked a couple of times by chicks like this who thought, hey, I got my dope dealer boyfriend, or I got one of these older dudes. I mean, usually with these chicks, again, the kind of money that they wanted was even beyond the guys who were working the jobs. I mean, there were guys out here who were working, again, the $5 an hour jobs at the time. Well, really, it wasn't five, it was $4.25 an hour. They were working places like McDonald's. They were working places like Dr. J's on the weekend. And that wasn't enough money for these chicks. No, they wanted to get the big paydays from these guys, again, who was going out here buying them Gucci bags, going out here buying them the Gucci boots, the shearling coats, and going out here and picking them up from school in their BMWs, picking them up in school in their Jeep Cherokees and their Jeep Wranglers. I mean, I saw this happen with my eyes back in the late 80s and the early 90s. So I'm listening to this chick, and I know how full of it she is. I know how full of it she is when she sits there and talks about guys being about things as related to these guys. but doesn't want to talk about the choices that many of these females made back in the day when they were teenagers, these decisions that they willfully and intentionally made back then. That's what these women don't want to talk about. But I know what they were doing back then. And I'm going to go a bit more in depth on it as I continue to go on here and take this chick straight to the barbecue and continue on with this roast.
CEO executive and all that. And she's like, hey, you remember me? He said, no, I don't want you.
Now, this statement here, where she says, oh, when she ran into this guy and he was the CEO type, and he was saying, hey, he didn't want her. Well, he's rejecting her because he's basically been out here and he sees that this woman ain't looking to help meet his needs. And right now, all she's looking for, like Mr. Chris says from Mr. Chris and Company, this chick is all she's looking for is help. That's all this chick is looking for is help at this point. And she didn't want nothing to do with you when you were out here working on your goals. No, she wasn't out here looking to help you out as you was working on your goals. No, when you were out here struggling as related to trying to get these classes passed and trying to get these credits for high school to get your diploma, this chick basically didn't care about none of that. No, this was the chick that was telling you that you was acting white. This was the chick telling you that you were being corny. This was the chick telling you that you were being boring. This was the chick who, for her, it wasn't good enough as related to you having your hobbies like comic books or being into science fiction or fantasy or pursuing the things that you loved. Now, she wasn't into none of that stuff at all. And for her, when she looks at you, she's again has no respect for you. But what she wants you to do is go out here and be out there looking to, again, give her another chance. But she never wanted to give you a chance at the beginning when you were out here trying to, again, learn how to navigate a course as related to relationships. I mean, she didn't want to get in on the ground floor with you as you were trying to, again, look to build yourself up. No, she was out here tearing you down. And this chick basically, again, was out here being real nasty and real disrespectful. I mean, I know how those words basically hit like a fist because I've experienced having those words hit like a fist. And this chick, again, for her to come back at you 10, 15 years later, after you get yourselves together, that's just, again, the ultimate form of disrespect. It's the ultimate form of disrespect because she's coming at you saying, oh, I want you to give me another chance after I done been gone out here, been with Pookie and Ray Ray, after I done been ran through by all of these dudes. She wants you to go out here and you've got yourself up to the place of high value. And she wants you to go out here and get with her and bust downtown and pay premium prices for it. And that's, again, a disrespect directed at many of the guys out here who, again, have put in that work for many hours, putting in that work on they grind. I mean, I know that because I did that kind of work. I mean, when I was trying to get out of high school, I mean, I had to get out here and again take my education in my own hands. And I can tell you from experience, as I was taking my education in my own hands, again, I was on my own out here, and there was no girls looking to check for me as I was out here putting in that work. As I was putting in that work, trying to get myself together and try to get out of high school, these girls were not checking for me. No, they wasn't even interested in talking to me. No, they wanted to go out here and be a part of with the cool dudes who was in the streets and be out here with them cool dudes because most of these chicks, again, they wanted to, again, I'll repeat it once more, elevate their social status, and be in the cool social circles. That's what I personally saw. They wanted to be with the cool dudes. And as they were out here with them dope boys, as they were out here with them gangbangers, as they were out here with them older dudes, they were basically having a good old time, to the point where they were sitting up here in the lunchroom. Because I was in Park West in the lunchroom where I'll hear these girls again bragging about the dudes who they were getting with and what they were buying them, bragging about how these guys was basically going out here putting the carbon rod in the atomic waste reactor, getting a taste of the waste from the special place. And they were basically talking about all the sex they was giving these dudes and how good it was. They would sit there and brag about this stuff at the lunchroom table. They would brag about this stuff in the classroom. And again, when a regular brother would go out here and step to them, they would basically laugh at guys like me, be making fun of guys like me. And that's what they would do again back in the day. So that's where these chicks again want to sit there and make themselves out to be the good guy, and again want to make themselves out to be the good guy of the story. But it's just them revising history as related to things. When this guy, again, when he was established, the only reason why you want to get with him is not to help meet his needs, but like Mr. Chris has said, want to get help to clean up the mess that they made of their lives.
I be feeling like, respectfully, y'all is the grown-up versions of the niggas that got hurt in high school while we was out fucking
Now,
the drug dealers. Let me tell you something.
Now, when she sits there and says, "Oh, we are so hurt," no, I can tell you from my experience growing up, I wasn't hurt at all. No, I wasn't even phased by it. I mean, by the time I was about 16 years old, I wasn't hurt at all about any of that. No, what happened to me as I was dealing with these girls back in the 80s was I never was hurt by them. I just learned how to just charge these girls to the game and keep it moving because there were more important things I wanted to pursue. And since there were more important things that I wanted to pursue, I realized that if these girls are out here with these dope boys, then I don't need this woman in my life because she's going to bring problems to me. This is what I reasoned way back when I was about 15, 16 years old. And I started making changes in my life. I started praying to God to make changes in my life. And what I understood was if I want to get somewhere, I can't be with these kind of people. I can't be with toxic folks. That's one of the reasons why I had to change high schools, because these toxic folks was on me about having a girlfriend to the point where it was just getting out of hand. And the whole thing is I understood, okay, if I want to be able to move on with my life and achieve the dreams that I wanted to achieve, because again, I aspired to be a writer ever since I was 9 years old. I aspired to write comics ever since I was about 15 or so. And I said, if I want to go out here and achieve my dreams, I got to be very careful about the company I keep, because if she's out here involved with these dope boys, then she's going to be bringing problems to me. And if she's bringing problems to me, she's a liability all around. And I can't have a woman who's bringing problems to me, because if I'm trying to move myself ahead, what's going to happen is this chick is going to be a crab in a barrel. And if she's a crab in a barrel, then every time I try to make a move, she's going to wind up bringing me down, or the people she's in company with are going to wind up trying to bring me down. Because back then, the crack epidemic was going on. And we also had George H.W. Bush doing a war on drugs. And if you wanted to be able to move ahead you had to be able to cut a lot of people off, especially people who were involved with the neighborhood dope boy, people who were involved with gangbangers. You had to leave these people alone, because all it takes is them going out here and dropping a snitch, and it could basically derail your life. Or you could be walking along with them, or even be in the car with them, and you go from being a free guy who was doing well in school to winding up with a record. And that's why I had to cut a lot of people off and roll solo at that point. I had to roll solo because the whole thing is these chicks, again, they involved with these drug dealers, they involved with these gang members. And again, these chicks, whenever their life gets messed up, they can get you jammed up. So any smart guy who was out here understood, we cut those chicks off and left them to the tender mercies of Pookie, Ray Ray, and Jaheim. We left them to the tender mercies of those people, and we basically moved on with our lives. And as I moved on with my life, I wasn't bitter about anything. No, wasn't bitter about anything as I put these chicks in the rear view mirror. As I put these chicks in the rear view mirror, I just said, I'm just going to leave you to your fate. And yeah, you might be fly, you might be pretty. There were some girls out there when I changed schools who were pretty fly and pretty, and I could see that they were dressed up by the dope man. So I just left them in their corner of the school and focused on what I wanted to do. And again, became just completely indifferent to these kind of girls. I became completely indifferent to them because, you just can't sit there and get involved with these kind of girls because there's no way of saving them. They made their choices. They made their choices. And if I go out here and make a choice to put on the Power Rangers galoshes and the Ben Cooper cape and play Captain Save them, all that's going to happen to me is I'm going to get smashed in the face with kryptonite doo-doo because she's already made the choice of who she wants to be involved with. And if she's out here dropping them skid mark jockey draws, then she's going out here and allowing him to again have sex with her. So she's already got a spiritual bond with this man. She's already got a soul tie with this man. And you have to go out here and be resigned and accept, okay, this is not the one for me. And if she's involved with these type of dudes and she's on this road with these dudes, then and I'm on a road where I'm trying to go to college or I'm trying to get myself ahead, then I got to leave this kind of girl alone and focus on my purpose. And that's what I did ever since about 1989. I focused on my purpose and said, this ain't the one, these ain't the ones for me all around. And since these ain't the ones for me, I got to leave them alone. And yeah, I do. I like girls and I wanted to, again, have a relationship because of all the peer pressure. But when God said I wasn't ready, I realized, if he's saying I'm not ready, I'll leave it alone and focus on my goals. And again, not bitter at all. And that's the mistake that a lot of these chicks are saying as related to things. They thinking we are bitter. No, I'm not bitter. I'm not hurt at all. No, I'm cool with everything. I'm real cool about everything because I understand back then, okay, she ain't into me. She ain't into what I'm into. So I'm going to leave these chicks alone and I'm going to focus on my purpose until God leads me to the right woman. That's what I did back in 1989 and really started getting serious about it in 1990. That's when I got on the honor roll and I just left these chicks alone because I understood there were more important things that I wanted to do in life. And that's where she's sitting up here saying, oh, these guys are bitter about high school. No, we ain't. I ain't bitter at all. I'm cool about everything. And again, I accept everything as related to things. No, the person who's bitter here is this woman bitter because about all the poor choices she made. She made all these poor choices, and now she's bitter about all these poor choices. And since she's bitter about all these poor choices, this is why she's sitting up here going on this emotional rant where she's trying to make the nerdy black guys the bad guy of the story.
We were victims then making horrible decisions with grown ass on us. Y'all gotta let that shit go.
Now that's ridiculous right there. I mean, if you listen to that statement, she's talking about, oh, we're victims. No, you are not victims. No, none of these chicks were victims at all. I can tell you as someone who was there back in the late 80s, none of these chicks were victims at all. No, these chicks went out here and willfully and intentionally went out here and got with these guys, willfully and intentionally got with these guys because they thought it would elevate their social status. They thought, hey, I'm out here, I'm getting the attention of an older guy, and he's checking for me. So for them, getting with an older guy, this was something that that would elevate their high status in adolescence. And the fact that these guys were out here spending big money, this was something that basically inflated their ego because these guys, again, back in the 80s, these were some big time simps. All these dope boys, they were basically some of the biggest simps and tricks in the game. And as they would go out here and get with these guys would give them more than what they would deserve. I mean, when you're 12, 13, 14, your first date should basically be at a movie and you getting some McDonald's. That's all you're supposed to get. But what these simps would do is again try to go out here and spend hundreds of dollars giving these girls magical evenings, go out here and be going out here buying them sneakers like these Air Jordans. These girls would have Air Jordans on, have the new Jordans on because the guy would go out here and buy them. Some of them, the guy would go out here buy them a $1,500 shearling coat. Some of them would be out here rocking lots of gold jewelry. Lots of them would be running around again wearing Guess jeans, which were expensive at the time. They were like $60, $70, and wearing things like Genera shirts and Tommy Hilfiger shirts and Ralph Lauren shirts. I mean, this is what I saw firsthand. I mean, these girls was basically dressed to the nines and living in the projects. And as they were dressed up in the nines and living in the projects, they would go out here and be again. The guy would be waiting for them. He would roll up. Sometimes some of them would be rolling up in a Jeep Cherokee. Some of them would be rolling up in a Jeep Wrangler. Others would be rolling up in a Benz or a BMW. And they would be sitting up there at the lunch table bragging about how they man gonna take them shopping for gold chains, take them shopping for jewelry, take them out here and give them all this stuff. And as they were getting all this stuff, they were out here again getting with these guys as their mama was working. Sometimes they would bring the dude in the house while mama was working, allow him to go out here, and they would drop the skid mark jockey draws, and again, allow this guy sexual access. And as this older man was out here again participating in this stuff, they were out here again bragging about this stuff. And in some cases, mama was going along. That's what was going on here as related to these girls. But this woman wants to revise history and make it out like they are victims. No, these girls were not victims at all. No, they willfully and intentionally were down with the program, and even their parents were down with the program. So this is a lie that this woman is trying to tell in an effort to revise history. This is again her trying to rewrite history to make things look like things are her being a victim, but you're not a victim at all. No, you're not a victim at all, because if you were a so-called victim, again, you wouldn't be making these choices. Moreover, the parents would be out here and calling the police because, again, what these men were participating in was a crime of statutory rape, and you could have easily gone out here and got the police. But these women didn't want to get the police, and their mamas didn't want to get the police because what they wanted to do was continue getting money from these guys. They wanted to continue getting money from these guys. And now what she wants to do is try to change the story as related to the narrative, and change the story to make herself out to be the victim and say, oh, these guys are in high school, they were so bitter. No, we're not bitter at all. No, most guys I know were not bitter, and again, weren't bitter about things. We just accepted what was. And as we accepted what was, we just went out here and charged these kind of chicks to the game and kept it moving as we looked to get our diplomas, kept it moving as we went to college, kept it moving as we got our degrees, and how some of us going out here and got our jobs. We just kept it moving and we just went out here and went on with our lives. That's what we did out here back in the 80s and the early 90s. All of us dudes who were the so-called nerds. I never saw myself as a nerd. No, I just saw myself as a guy looking to again make his way in this world, and just go out here and do the things that I thought were fun. Because as part of my life, I was in a family where I grew up with a brother who was in the comics and science fiction and fantasy. That was my life as related to growing up. And again, these are the things that I was into. But sadly, back then in the neighborhood, a lot of girls weren't into these things. And as they weren't into these things, they again would look down on guys like me and say, oh, that guy is boring, or that guy is weird, or that guy is acting white. Because I would get that because a lot of people didn't like the way that I talked. And again, these girls basically, they wanted the street dudes. They wanted the guys with the street cred. And some of them would go as far as looking to start stuff to get us in a jam. Some of these guys would basically go out here some of these girls would go out here looking to start stuff with us and talk about how they gonna get their man on us. I mean, this is the type of stuff they would do. We would go out here and just be about our day, and they would be looking to go out here and start a beef with us, talking about how they gonna get their man on us and how they gonna get us jumped and get us in the middle of something. That's how little regard they had for the dope dealers they had been with. And that's how little regard they had for his life. that they would put his life in jeopardy because, like the brother of logic and common sense said many years ago, if that woman cared about you, she'd be looking to protect you from all sorts of danger. But these chicks, again, they were just looking to, again, sate their egos by saying they could get this guy to flex and get him to flex because many of these simps were extremely emotional to the point where all they wanted to do was see what they could get these guys to do. So they would go out here using these dope dealers basically as their own personal pit bulls and have him go out here fighting people, jumping people, even some cases shooting people. That's the type of stuff that these chicks would sit here and do. And what she's trying to do now is trying to rewrite the narrative as related to all the ratchet stuff she did, because she did a lot of ratchet stuff. And she wants to make it like, oh, those guys need to get over it. Well, again, guys have gotten over it. We're cool right now. And again, since we're over it, we don't really care about what this chick is saying. But what I'm saying in this live is I want to get the truth out about everything. I want to get the truth out as related to the whole story and give people the overall picture of what went on here.
What about the girls who had the older guys picking them up in high school?
Now, this chick, again, at the end of the video, she basically checks this chick as related to everything. She basically checks this chick all around as related to everything because these chicks were out here not only with the dope dealers, they were getting picked up by these guys. And this is where she got defensive. She got all defensive because the truth was coming out on her. And as the truth came out on her, this is where she started to get real defensive. And I noticed it's very interesting that the video winds up ending just as she's getting called out, because had this chick basically, again, gone out here and had to deal with actual guys who had been there at that time, she would be getting cooked and roasted right now. She'd be getting cooked and roasted like what I'm doing now. I got the applewood chips right down here being lit by the Kings with the Kingsford charcoal and the lighter fluid, and I'm barbecuing this chick because I know how full of it she is. And since I was there, again, growing up in the South Bronx, I know that she's full of it by saying, oh, guys are all bitter because they should go out here and date these girls. But why should a guy who went out here and put in the work to improve himself go out here and look to pursue a woman who he's outgrown? Critical question I'd like to ask this female. I mean, why should a dude who worked to get himself established go out here and deal with a chick he's basically outgrown? Because as you're going out here getting your education, as you're going out here working and developing your craft, why would you want to go out here and deal with a girl from high school who you've basically outgrown? That's, again, the critical question I have to ask. Because when I look at those girls from high school, I had outgrown them by the time I was 16 years old. And I was basically tired of the extremely immature behavior that they had. No, as a man who understands his role in God's order, I'm looking for a woman who wants to follow my lead and respect my authority that God has given me. I'm looking for a woman who is, again, ready to take that role and look to help meet my needs, looks to go out here and work with me as a partner towards building something. That's what I'm looking for in a woman. And why would a man who's matured want to go out here and deal with a woman who's still stuck in a state of arrested development, who's basically got a mental age of about 14 to 16 years old? Because if we take a critical look at the way that woman was dressed, I mean, here you got a woman complaining about nerds who's sitting up here dressed up in a pair of pants that are cut off at the top and made to look like a dress. I mean, this woman looking like a child. I mean, if you really take a look at this female and look at the way she is dressed all around, I mean, she's basically sitting up here looking like, again, somebody who don't even know how to put on clothes. I mean, this is embarrassing all around. I'm gonna show you the picture once more of this chick. I mean, this chick, again, look at her. She's wearing a man's pair of pants that are cut off at the side to make it look like a dress. She got on caked on makeup and a bad wig. I mean, what man wants to go out here and get involved with this chick at this point? I mean, this chick is not a woman I would want to reflect on me as an older man who's going out here and again learned discipline, learned refinement, and is looking mature. I look at this woman, and again, she's looking like again an immature child who don't know how to dress, don't know how to even articulate herself. No, an intelligent man wouldn't want this woman to be at his side because that would be an embarrassment to him and an embarrassment to him as related to reflecting on him badly. And that's why any guy who is a so called nerd who's basically worked to improve himself would look at this chick and say, I'm not bringing that woman out here with me because she's gonna make me look bad. I mean, talking about I should date her after she's gone out here and been involved with criminals. I should date her after she's gone out here and had kids with Pookie. No, any man who's worked to establish himself ain't wasting his time because he understands his time is precious. That's something that I had to understand back when I was 16 years old. Was I had to understand, okay, if I want to go somewhere, I gotta go out here and manage my time. And again, you don't want to spend time wasting it trying to go out here and get involved with this female from a place of the spellbound perspective, because the spellbound perspective is you're trying to fit yourself into a box that's acceptable to this chick. But the whole thing is, this chick isn't looking to accept you, and no matter how much you change yourself, this chick does not respect you. And if she does not respect you, then there is no reason to even pursue this woman for a relationship. That's something that you learn when you learn how to value yourself as a man. When you learn how to value yourself as a man, you start to say, hey, I don't really need this chick. Yeah, she's all cute and pretty and all that, but that's all superficial. No, as you get older, you start looking for more important things like the intangible of your respect, the whole thing of seeing that how she's going to work with you and as related to your goals, how she's going to help meet your needs in life. These are the things that a man is going to look for as related to a woman. And again, any man is not out here looking to go out here and be the garbage man and be cleaning up another man's mess. No, ain't no man out here thinking about, I want to go out here and take care of another man's kids or make myself into the number two. Because what happens with these, what she's thinking is that you're supposed to, again, settle for her mess. You're supposed to sit there, and what she really does is the ultimate disrespect is sit there and think you're supposed to sit there and wait for her to be finished with Pookie, finished with Ray Ray, finished with Jaheim, finished with all these other dudes, and finished with all of her relationships with those dudes, and to basically take on all of her kids and all of the problems that she's made in her life. You're supposed to come in here and be coming in as related to being in last place. And being in last place is supposed to be cool for you. That's again, if you're a man, you would feel completely disrespected. I mean, it's just disrespectful all around for a chick to be sitting up there thinking, oh, I'm going to go out here and have my good time with Pookie, Ray Ray, Jaheim, and all these other dudes. Let these go out here, drop the skid mark jockey draws, and let these guys go in her raw, having kids with these dudes. And you who have worked yourself up are supposed to go out here and settle for someone who basically has dropped her social marketplace value to lower than a $20 food stamp without the book. That's what this female wants you to believe. You're supposed to drop your social marketplace value down to her level after she has been ran through. You're supposed to settle for standard, substandard as your standard. And that's the something that these women are not connecting the dot on. You wanted this guy to again settle for less when he's made himself the best. And to tell this guy to settle for less when he's worked to make himself the best, that's an insult to that guy, especially when he's gone out here and grown as a man, grown and improved as a man. And if I've grown and improved as a man, I'm not even going back to those social circles. I can tell you that I did after I changed schools in 1990. After I changed schools in 1990, I never wanted to go back to that whole place that I was in at Park West. No, For a moment, I had a little bit of anxiety as related to things, but as I came out of it, I didn't want to go back and didn't want to go back because as you grow and you start to enter other social circles, you start to meet positive people. And as you start to meet positive people, this is where the nerdy guy starts to, again, not only understand his value as a man, moreover, what happens to that man is he starts seeing girls who are on the same level that he has in common. And Mad Black 80 talked about this in his own video regarding this whole meme that had been posted on Facebook. But I found the video in and of itself, and that's why I'm sharing it with you. Because when it comes to guys, again, we start to see girls who we are like. We start to find girls in those circles as we start to go out here and do things. Because I remember, again, being 15, 16, going to Comic Con, and you start to see other people out here who are into the things you're in. You start to further start to go out here and expand your social circles as you're out here. So you start walking out of the hood and you start seeing a larger world all around yourself. And as you start entering that larger world as a guy, as again, the so-called nerd, you start to come out of your social awkwardness. You start to come out of yourself. You start to grow as a person. And as you start to grow as a person and you start to change, this is where you go from, again, looking at this girl who's involved with the drug dealer and getting upset about it to becoming completely indifferent to her. You become completely indifferent to her because you're like, okay, this is what she like. This is who she about. And since she about that, we have nothing in common. Let me go out here and travel in the circles with the chicks who are into the stuff I'm into. Let me go out here and find my own happiness. I mean, if you're into comics or action figures, PlayStation games, I mean, you're going to go out here and enjoy your life and be out here hanging with people who are cool and find cool people who are into the stuff that you're in. That's what you're going to do. And that's what happens to a lot of guys. Again, they start to grow. And that's why most guys who are out here who are nerds, again, this is how we get over it because we get on with our lives. We get on with our lives and basically leave the chicks who wanted the drug dealers to the drug dealers. And as they become baby mamas, they're not our problem anymore. No, they're not our problem anymore because they basically went out here and made those choices. And we leave them to the sum of their choices. And if their lives are all screwed up, that's on them and not my problem at that point. It's not my problem at that point because this is what you chose in life. These are the choices that you made. You wanted, again, to be the big wheel and be ghetto fabulous. You wanted to be out here running these streets. You wanted to, again, be the big woman in the projects who's basically, again, living large in the projects. And you didn't want to put in the work to go out here and have a home. You didn't want to go out here and work towards building anything. No, what you wanted to do was make the money in the short term and have the clothes and have the big life. Okay, you had the big life at 14 and 15, and sadly, you got pregnant at 16 or 17, and whatever happened to you happened to you. And again, you were not a victim at all. No, a lot of times with these girls, they willfully and intentionally made these choices and wanted to go out here and clout chase and wanted to go out here and clout chase and again be the one who gets all the cheers at the party, be the one that's seen as the center of the center of attention at the party, want to be the one out here with the flyest clothes and the flyest gear as a teenager. And did you want to go out here and have the discipline and patience to work with that man towards building yourself up or helping him build? And you could have had that stuff with that nerdy guy. That nerdy guy could have hooked you up and hooked you up even better because you would have had a nice house. You would have been able to, again, not be riding around in a guy's car, but have your own car. You could have been out here, again, enjoying a nice, abundant life that Christ wanted to give you. But instead of trying to get the abundant life Christ wanted to give you, you believed the devil's lies. You were beguiled by the devil. And the devil got you going out here thinking, oh, Pookie's is out here slinging this dope. He's going out here buying you these Air Jordan sneakers. He's out here, again, buying you the gold chains. He's taking you to the skate key and the nightclubs. and you thought, oh, this was going to be a great time. But as you got older, and what happened to this dude is that he basically wound up getting caught up in the war on drugs. Either he was arrested by the federal government on drug charges and went to jail for the rest of his life, or he wound up getting killed in a drive-by, and you basically wound up with absolutely nothing. That's what happened to many of these chicks. And after this happened, what they want to do is now look for another gullible simp. Look for another gullible simp who they think will go out here and be the cleanup man. But nobody's looking to go and clean up anybody's mess. Nobody's looking to go out here and look to get something, so a chick who's basically, again, been ran through and basically a part of bust downtown where her social marketplace value is 50, 60, 70, even 80% of the original social marketplace price. No, we ain't really looking to check for no used chicks. No, you went out here and again threw away your prime years with these pookies. You threw away your prime years with these dudes, and you have kids with those dudes. So you go deal with those dudes and possibly deal with that guy who with the Jeep Cherokee with the rusty quarter panels. Not worth my time. Again, you most again nerdy guys or guys who are into comic science fiction, fantasy like myself, we put these chicks in the rear view mirror years ago. I mean, over 40 years ago, over 30 years ago, I put these chicks in the rear view mirror and put them in the rear view mirror because started to understand my value as a man. And I understood one intangible was important, and that was my freedom. Again, with that war on drugs and that crack epidemic going on, many of us were caught in the middle as related to things. I mean, you had the gangsters and the chicks out here, again, looking to start with us. Then you had the cops on the other side. So it was basically looking like we were walking on a tightrope because we understood, again, you're trying to fight for your survival, trying to fight to maintain your freedom, trying to fight to get that diploma, trying to fight to get out of this school. I mean, we basically, again, had to go through a struggle as related to things. And most of us, we were like, nah, we ain't going to deal with this chick because there's other things we wanted to accomplish. So these chicks now, they telling us to get over it. Again, been over it for over 35 years, been over it, left you in the rear view mirror, and ain't trying to go out here and be cleaning up somebody's mess. No, I ain't trying to go out here and date no woman who's been involved with no dope dealer. Ain't trying to get involved with no chick like that because I don't need to deal with that baggage. I don't need to be dealing with these people coming after me. I don't need to be dealing with these people looking at them get me into some mess that can again put my life on the line or put my family's life on the line. That was always my whole frame of thinking ever since I was about 15, 16 years old. Because I went to school, I went to Park West, which was filled with a lot of guys who were in the dope game. And I had to change schools because, again, you don't know what these guys will do when they get in a jam. They'll basically, again, look to put you in a situation and get you and have you jammed up because they want to get out of a box. And that's why I had to be careful about who I got involved with because you don't know who's involved with this dope game. And again, this is when I changed schools. I had to even keep more distance because, again, when you're trying to do something with your life, you don't want to be around the chick who's involved with these kind of guys. You don't want to be in a place where you're involved with these kind of dudes because these type of chicks who are involved with these kind of dudes, they start to get jealous of you. They start to get angry at you and they want to go out here and hurt you. And the way they look to hurt you is make sure that they try to grab you up or do something to you. So it's best to just let him have that girl. And as somebody who grew up during the crack epidemic, I've heard of so many guys die as a result of these girls. And that's another reason why I left these chicks alone. I left them alone because I, again, valued my own life, my own safety, my own freedom. And this is the stuff that many of these chicks don't know. They don't know the real game as it is, as related to black men out here, as related to why we ain't dealing with no chick who's involved with a dope boy. They don't know the real game. They want to go out here and talk about, oh, we need to get over it. We need to stop feeling bad. No, I ain't feeling bad. The only thing I'm feeling is sorry for these chicks because they know that their lives are basically done at this point. They're desperate to get somebody to pay them some attention because they need help. They need help with those kids that they can't control because Pookie ain't father material. They need help as related to their fiscal situation because all that money they had in the dope game is all gone, and now they work in daycare or they work in fast food or they work in some job that's far beneath them. Because I saw so many girls who again looked like they had so much promise get involved with these guys, wind up on the road to becoming baby mamas, and they went from being at a chance to go to college and have a career to winding up in bus downtown working in daycare, working as one of these CNAs or one of these other jobs. They basically work in all these jobs where they have to work 12, 13, 14 hours. And they did this to themselves because they didn't want to listen to anybody with any sense. I mean, everybody who was talking sense, they were like, oh, that guy's acting white. Oh, that guy is corny. Oh, that guy is boring. Oh, that guy is whack, and I want to be with the fly guys. Well, the fly guys led to these women having a whack life at later on because they were thinking about the short term and not the long term. And these women want to sit here. This woman wants to sit here and say, "Oh, some guy needs to go out here and date women who rejected them for drug dealers." Now you can stay on that side of the street with the dope boy. You can stay on that side of the street with Pookie. We ain't. I'm not coming over there. No, I ain't coming over there because I value more important things as related to my intangibles like my freedom. I value things like my safety because I don't want these people in my life. I don't want all of this toxic stuff in my life. I don't want to be dealing with the emotional baggage that this woman has. I'm not looking to be no Pullman Porter carrying bags from one station to another of somebody else. I'm not looking to go out here and be the cleanup man, cleaning up a mess I did not make. I'm not looking to have my life torn down and torn completely apart. No, I'm not looking to go out here and clean up somebody else's hot mess. No, you can have that hot mess with Pookie. You can have that hot mess with your mama. You can have that hot mess with all of them, folks. Now, I'm not wasting my time dealing with none of that nonsense. No, you can have that life. No, I'll go on and look to have the abundant life that Christ wants to give me. I will look to try to receive God's blessings at this point. That's what I'm looking to try to receive. And again, I can't go out here and get those blessings and do that by being at the side of a toxic chick. No, you can't get to that point of prosperity by dealing with a toxic chick. No, when it comes to these type of chicks, I leave them to the drug dealer that they wanted to get with. I leave them to the gangbangers and thugs they wanted to get with. I leave them to all them sagging pants clowns who basically are in and out of the penitentiary or in the graveyard. You can go deal with them, dudes. There are your problems. And again, this is the man you chose to have a bond with. This is the man you chose to have a child with. This is the man you put first. And you put this man first because, again, you were out here, you were running these streets. And sadly, your mama didn't take a moment to teach you the word of God about your role as a woman and didn't teach you about your role as a woman and how important your choices are. And if you made these choices, then that's on you because, again, the Bible was there, the word of God was there, but you wanted to, again, follow the path of feminism and go out here and be the independent woman. Now, if y'all are these strong, independent women who did not need a man, why are you coming over here asking nerds to get over it and start dating you? Critical question again. Want to ask this chick if these are some boss chicks, if these is some strong, independent women who out here don't need no man, why are you out here asking for these guys to get over it and start dating you? That just again shows how these chicks are completely full of it all around, completely full of it because you're sitting here saying, oh, this guy who again it got himself established like Alex L. Art put in his picture, that you want to say that these guys should just again take all their hard work and look to use it to go out here and take care of another man's kids. Well, ain't no man looking to take care of another man's kids as related to the bad choices you made. No, a man wants to build his own family, have his own progeny, have his own legacy, and his legacy is not going to be one that he wants tarnished by being the clean up man of somebody else's mess. You wanted the thugs, you wanted the bad boys. Well, if you're in the bad situation, that's on you. And if you're in the bad situation, that's your problem. And any smart man is going to leave you to that whole situation. He's going to leave you to go out here and take them run over Jimmy Choo shoes, take them run over Jimmy Choo shoes, go get you some hefty bags and go clean up that mess that you made in your teen years with Mr. Pookie, Mr. Ray Ray, Mr. Jaheim, and Mr. Sprinkles. I mean, you went out here, you wanted to get with them guys. You wanted to go out here and get with that dude. And again, as he was out here driving you around in the Jeep Cherokee, as he was driving you in the Benz, you was out here stunting with all these chicks as related to stepping out ghetto fabulous with your Jimmy Choo shoes when they were in their prime and your shearling coat in the wintertime, or going out here wearing your Tommy Hilfiger and your Polo Ralph Lauren. I mean, I seen these chicks again when I was a teenager, and I just again became completely indifferent to them. Became completely indifferent to them because again, I understood, okay, if this who she's choosing, then and she's not the one for me. If she's choosing this one, she's made her decision. And if she makes her decision, then I gotta just keep pressing on. I just gotta keep pressing on out here as related to my life. And this is a hard lesson that many teenagers have to learn out here these days. And it's something that I had to go back to when I went out here to write my book about a couple of years ago, John Haynes 1987. Now, in John Haynes 1987, I go in depth on the same type of situation where John Haynes is dealing with this situation with a girl, with his girlfriend at the time, Tisha, who is out here, and she has a choice between him and a guy, Scott Grayson, who's again making this so-called big money as a guy working in entertainment. And she decides to, again, I'm not going to give away the plot, but the whole thing is he had to move on from this chick, had to move on from this chick as related to her looking to make this choice to be with the guy with the money. And again, that's what many of us square dudes had to do as related to being socially awkward. Many of us square dudes, we had to make that decision to go out here and make that choice as related to our overall life. And we also had to do the same thing as related to girls. I've seen girls had to do the same thing. I talk about this in Spellbound. In my novel Spellbound, I talk about how Matilda, who again is a good chick, is out here dealing with these dope boys and how they basically made her life hard and how these street girls made her life hard. The same ratchets that are like the one in this video Matilda had to deal with. And in both of these stories, I show you a picture of the 1980s. In both of these books that are available on Amazon right now, you get a picture of what life was like in the 1980s and how things were in the 1980s as related to the kind of chick that was making this video. I mean, the chick in this video, again, I lived around these type of chicks. I went to school with these type of chicks, and I even went to work with some of them back in the mid 90s. And again, when it comes to these type of chicks, they think that they are at the top of the world. They are haughty and arrogant. They are haughty, arrogant, and just downright nasty. And they were nasty to us back in the 1980s and the early 90s. They were just cruel to us back then. But now they want to go out here and continue to see how cruel they are. And that's the worst part about this whole situation is that this chick, again, is still arrogant and still full of herself. And as she's full of it and arrogant as related to things, she's thinking, oh, she's entitled to go out here and get with the nerd after she's been ran through by Pookie and Ray Ray. She thinks she's entitled to be able to get with these guys who've worked out here and had their success and think that we have to settle for second best. That's what this chick believes, as related to this situation, she believes, oh, I'm entitled to go out here and be this guy as related to things, and he needs to be second best. Well, ain't no guy trying to be no Cleveland Brown from the Cleveland Show. Now, we ain't trying to be that type of simp out here because Cleveland Brown on the Cleveland Show, he was so spellbound by this chick as related to things that he wanted to go out here and get with this chick who already had been ran through by a dude and had two kids by them. And as he was out here, he went out here and married this chick. And again, ain't no dudes trying to be no Cleveland Brown out here. We ain't trying to be no cleanup, man. No, we gonna be like this, like, okay, you want that kind of guy, you stay with that kind of guy. I'm moving on with my life. And as I move on with my life, I'm moving to go do better and be better. That's what I was doing. And that's what I wrote in John Haynes' 1987 and Spellbound. Both a black man, a black boy, and a black girl looking to move themselves forward. And again, move yourself forward away from toxic people like this chick, a toxic chick who is now regretting that she has no options. She has no options at all. And since she has no options at all, now she want to make herself out to be the victim. She want to make herself out to be the victim of these guys who she chose. Well, you ain't no victim. No, none of these chicks are victims. And again, you have to listen to people who were actually there back then. I mean, people from the 80s, people from the 90s, we were there again as the square dude who was there. Again, I was experiencing these chicks firsthand, and I was also experiencing bullying from guys and girls as related to these people trying to force me into a relationship I wasn't ready for. So I know what these kind of chicks are, and what they're trying to do is trying to guilt trip nerds and nerdy guys into trying to go out here and date them. But no nerdy guy is looking to go out here and again date this woman if we've gone out here and grown, if we've gone out here and made changes to our life. We basically don't see this girl as anybody who we are interested in, because again, when you start to mature as out of your adolescence, once you start to mature into adulthood and you start to mature into manhood, you look at a chick like this and you go, not even worth my time. And you start valuing your time because there's stuff you want to do with your life, there's stuff you want to accomplish. And you see this chick not as a help me, but as a hindrance. And since you see her as a hindrance, she basically is looking not like a fly chick, but looking more like a boat anchor, and looking more like a boat anchor, especially if she's got that wide middle linebacker back. I mean, some of these chicks, they went from fly chicks to looking like middle linebackers with the SpongeBob back. And again, these chicks sit there and they want you to sit there and think, oh, I'm supposed to come here and clean you up at 20, at 30, 40 years old after you've had three kids, and I'm supposed to deal with baby daddies. I'm supposed to try to get Pookie a job after he's gone out here and got himself locked up. I'm supposed to go out here and try to play Captain Save him for everyone. And then after I play Captain Save him, you're going to go out here and smash me in the face with the kryptonite doodoo. Nah, not going to happen at all. No, you go out here, you stay with that dude. You stay with that dude that you chose. You stay with that dude that you picked. And you stay with that life that you chose. This is your whole life that you made. And again, you eat, swallow, and accept that life that you made. And again, want nothing to do with you. Don't even want any time to even deal with you. That's the way I see it. I mean, I see it again. I would rather spend my time with, again, quality people and spend my time with people who, again, are respectful of me and want to value my time. I want to spend time with people who want to spend time with me, because I dealt with all that where I was dealing with people who, again, telling me that they didn't want me around, didn't want nothing to do with me. And I just said, okay, I'm going to leave these people right where they are and go walk alone. And it's really hard to go out here and walk alone like that, but you just have to do it. And again, when you do it, it's something that, again, helps you grow as a man, helps you to grow and understand, okay, I'm going to be by myself, but I'd rather be myself at peace rather than be with toxic people who basically want to turn me into another toxic person. Rather be on my own and be the man that God wants me to be than be with a woman who doesn't want to be around me or people who want to be around me. And again, this is what happens when you have a woman stuck in arrested development. She doesn't understand how a man grows. She doesn't understand how the painful experiences can make a man grow and change, how the painful experiences can make a man grow and develop and basically become more mature because in their eyes, us being into comics or science fiction or fantasy or out here collecting action figures, to them, that's immature. But what they don't see is the maturing process that we develop in as related to our discipline and resolve. That's what many of these females don't see about guys like me, that we, again, we don't show our growth on the outside. We grow on the inside. And we build our character and resolve. We build our character and resolve as related to improving ourselves as men. And as we improve ourselves as men, we basically start finding women who we want to be with, who want to be with us, and are into the things that we're into. That's what we start to realize, and we change our social circles. And instead of trying to be with the cool people, we find the people who are cool with us. I know that statement is going to go over people's heads, as related to being with the people who are cool with us. And that's what we do out here in this world as guys. Again, we come out of being a nerd and becoming a man. And that's what people do as they mature. And again, this black woman just shows me how immature she is. She shows me how immature she is by, again, thinking, oh, I'm entitled to these guys. I'm entitled to these guys, the best guys. And if I go out here and get with the bottom guys, the top guys are supposed to come out here and again look to pick me up out of the garbage that I threw myself in. No, it don't work like that at all. No, a guy who's got himself together wants to be with a woman who's together. And usually that's what happens with guys. They'll go out here and find those women. They'll find those quality black women at the university. Sometimes they'll find them at socials as related to family, referring them. They'll find those women. And some guys, they'll go out here and they'll go and they'll be dating outside their race, or some guys will travel. But the whole thing is that these guys will find a quality woman. And again, find a woman they have something in common with. And as they find that woman that they have something in common with, but again, this is what happens as related to things. And this is what happens as related to life. I mean, and when you have a chick like this, she feels entitled to a man. She feels entitled and knows that she's out of options. That's the reason why she's acting up like this. This is a desperate ploy to get attention, a desperate ploy to get attention. But I'm taking this desperate ploy to go out here and take this chick to the barbecue and have a nice little roast as related to things and bring them facts all to everybody. Bring these facts as related to nerdy guys. And again, nerdy guys, I think that they call them. I never saw myself as a nerd. I was just a loner out here. But the whole thing is, I was into a lot of stuff that people would call nerdy. But the whole thing is, again, you have to have that self-confidence. You build up yourself. You start to find your worth as a man. And as you find your worth as a man, you don't really want to go back to people who don't value you. That's what happens with guys as they grow older and grow up. As guys grow up, we basically tell them that you're telling me to get over it when we already were over you over 30 years ago. Now, I'm going to get ready to wrap up tonight's stream. But before I wrap up tonight's stream, I'm asking everybody to pick up a copy of John Haynes' 1987 or Spellbound so you can see what happens with nerdy guys as well and nerdy girls as they go out here and move on with their lives after bullying and harassment. And both of those books will show you how both the nerdy guy or the nerdy girl gets over over the girls who disrespected them, or the guy or the girls out here who were out here with the drug dealers. And this is basically what we do. And I show that whole pattern and transformation process in depth with John Haynes' 1987. and the first book of the Spinsterella series, Spellbound. So both of those books will show you how a teenager deals with those situations. Both of these books are written from my own personal life experience. They're written from my own personal experiences with being bullied and dealing with these type of toxic girls. I mean, both of these books come from that whole place because I know what this experience is. And you can find both of those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them at other online booksellers like Draft the Digital, Google Play, Barnes& and Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And I want to take a time to give Alex L. Art a special thanks because he gave me permission to use his picture of his iconic meme. I mean, he told me on Facebook that he allowed me to use that meme. So I really want to thank him for, again, giving me permission to use it, and really want to give him a shout out because he's a great Black artist and he does great work. So really want to take that moment to give him a shout out as related to things. And I want to thank everybody who dropped a super chat on the stream. Really appreciate your support. And I also appreciate anybody who, again, goes out here and picks up the books because I'm still trying to get that first ebook sale for 2025. And I can only do that with your support. So if you guys would pick up some of the books of the SJS Direct imprint on Amazon.com, like Spellbound and John Haynes 1987, it'd be greatly appreciated. And it'd also be appreciated if you picked up the first full John Haynes comic, John Haynes at Death's Door. All of these books are available on Amazon.com. The John Haynes comic is available on Lulu.com. And it's also my other books are available on Draft the Digital, Google Play, and Barnes and Noble. And I also appreciate, again, your supporting the channel because this helps me pay for the internet. If you drop a donation to the Cash App, even $1 helps, or dropping a donation to the PayPal, it's greatly appreciated. Again, really want to thank everybody for coming out for the second live stream of 2025. And I hope you'll be there for the next live stream of the third live stream of this year. Want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. And I really enjoyed, again, going into this topic because I wanted to give you the guy on the other side of this situation and give that perspective, a guy who was there at the time. And again, really want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I hope you'll be here for next week's stream. Everybody have a good evening and everybody have a good night.